Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving you even more specialized support than ever before. Like access to the trade desk, our team of passionate traders ready to tackle anything from the most complex trading questions to a simple strategy gut check. Need assistance? No problem. Get 24/7 professional answers and live help, and access support by phone, email, and in-platform chat. That's how Schwab is here for you, to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized, so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 350-plus programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack your sources to unearth compelling insights and really give you that crucial shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're plunging into a series of materials about a man named John. His seemingly ordinary life is completely upended by, well, an ancient discovery. This deep dive isn't just about some strange object. It's about how one brush with the unknown can profoundly unravel the very fabric of reality, both around you and within you.
Yeah, and what's truly intriguing here is how John's journey begins in the most mundane of places. A quiet street, a modest apartment. Yet beneath that surface, he harbors this quiet yearning for something more, a subtle sense that maybe the everyday holds hidden depths. So our mission today is to explore the profound transformation he undergoes, the terrifying new dimensions he encounters, and what his story reveals about that thin, often permeable line between the known and the unfathomable. Get ready, because we're about to explore how a single object can challenge every assumption about what's ordinary and what secrets might lie just out of sight.
Okay, so let's start with John himself. Before this extraordinary event, what was his world actually like? From what we've read, he woke before dawn, bitter coffee, familiar routines. Sounds like a life of predictable comfort, maybe. But with this underlying current of unease, how did his everyday existence, even his job, kind of set the stage for such an earth-shattering discovery?
That's precisely it. John's early life wasn't just mundane. It was, in a way, a kind of unconscious preparation. He'd brew his bitter coffee and just absorb every detail of his surroundings, almost cataloging the world with this vivid intensity. Even amid the hum of computers in his modest office, he wasn't just working. He was an observer, sensing hints of deeper stories, seeing patterns in flickering streetlights that suggested an unspoken promise. This quiet curiosity, this desire for mystery he barely even acknowledged, was actually laying the groundwork for what was coming. It highlights a universal insight, I think. Sometimes the greatest longing for the extraordinary exists in the most ordinary of lives.
And then that ordinary afternoon takes a very sharp turn. He finds himself drawn into an alleyway he'd passed countless times. What was it about this specific moment, this alley, that made the discovery possible? Was it just chance?
Well, the sources describe a moment of really uncanny stillness. The usual city, clamor pedestrians, car engines, even birds. It all seemed to pause, like the world itself held its breath for a second.
Whoa!
Yeah, and this pause, combined with his peculiar clarity of light and elongated shadows, it created an almost dreamlike atmosphere. It suggests that sometimes the universe has to slow down, maybe whisper, for us to truly notice what's been hidden right there in plain sight. It wasn't just any alley then. It became this kind of liminal space, subtly altered, almost inviting him in.
Okay. And there he sees it, the object. It's described as shimmering with an eerie luminescence, as if lit from an inner fire not of this place. That sounds utterly out of place. What were his first impressions, and how did it immediately alter his surroundings?
It's the sheer incongruity, isn't it? That's what makes it so striking. This object, described as almost obelisk-like, yet irregular, formed from metal with this mysterious patina. It glowed softly, like twilight maybe, or moonlight on fog casting these dancing shadows. This luminescence wasn't natural. It made it seem almost alive.
Right.
And what's truly unsettling is how its presence immediately changed the very environment. A cold, crisp breath replaced the warmth. The city sounds just gave way to an unnerving stillness. And the air carried this faint, strange, scent-damped earth, decaying wood, and a hint of something metallic.
So it wasn't just sitting there.
No, it wasn't just found in the world. It was actively rewriting a small part of it. which highlights how a truly alien presence doesn't just occupy space, it actively warps reality around it.
So it's not just visual then. The sources mention faint whispers, subtle sibilant murmurs with an otherworldly cadence.
Okay.
And then the description of touching it, disquieting complexity. What was the object communicating through these sensory experiences?
Well, it was a multi-sensory assault, really,
Yeah.
designed to both allure and terrify. The whispers hinted at a consciousness, an otherworldly cadence,
Yeah.
suggesting ancient arcane languages. It was this auditory suggestion, a chilling invitation. And when John touched it, it wasn't just cool and smooth. There was this paradoxical texture, giving the impression of something meticulously crafted and mysteriously aged. This wasn't a simple artifact. It felt like a living repository of ancient power.
Wow.
And this paradox, its exquisite beauty, inviting scrutiny, yet evoking an ineffable dread. That's a profound insight, isn't it?
Yeah.
The things that hold the most power often come with a warning, a sense that, some mysteries are best left unchallenged.
And John's immediate reaction reflects that. This intense cocktail of emotions, a delicate dance between wonder and dread. It sounds like it resonated with something deep inside him, something personal. What was happening internally for him right then?
Exactly. He felt an inexplicable appreciation, almost like an echo of a buried memory, as if the object was awakening something he never knew he harbored. It tapped right into that secret longing for mystery we talked about earlier.
Right.
But this wonder was immediately shattered by a profound sense of foreboding. His rational mind, the part screaming, "Danger! Retreat!" was battling against this almost irresistible arcane allure. The artifact wasn't just an external thing anymore. It became a mirror reflecting his hidden doubts and vulnerabilities. It forced him to acknowledge that his life, as he knew it, was irrevocably changed. It's a powerful metaphor for how significant discoveries don't just change the world around us, but reveal deep truths about ourselves.
Okay, so faced with this, John doesn't retreat, which may be surprising. Instead, he dives deeper. He's compelled to research, to seek answers in forgotten texts and time-worn legends. What did these ancient records actually reveal about this object?
Well, he uncovered archival research detailing an ancient civilization, and he discovered that objects like this weren't just artifacts. They were considered conduits of a hidden realm. These records spoke of the artifact's connection to rituals of cosmic significance, referring to it as the Key of Shadows, literally a gateway between this world and one that defied human convention.
Wow, imagine finding that kind of provenance for something you just picked up in an alley.
Right. This isn't just about finding old texts. It's about realizing that what you found has a history, a purpose that completely upends your understanding of reality.
So the legends confirmed his fears, but they must have also fueled his curiosity even more. We hear about how these objects were worshipped and feared, this duality again, and how the inscriptions seem to encode celestial cycles. What did John learn that truly foreshadowed the profound shift that was about to happen?
He spent countless hours poring over these manuscripts and local legends. And they spoke of times when the boundaries between mortal life and the supernatural were not so stark, less defined. They detailed how such objects were both revered and dreaded, echoing that exact paradox he felt with the artifact itself. And one old travel log even suggested a ritualistic inversion of day and night, during which the artifact would whisper hints of another darker dimension. This wasn't just lore anymore. It felt like a direct premonition of reality bending. It told him this wasn't just a key to knowledge, but a key to an entirely different kind of existence.
And then the moment of decision arrives. He stands before the artifact again, suspended. Despite every rational warning screaming at him, he extends a cautious hand. This wasn't just a physical action, was it? It felt bigger.
Absolutely not. It was a symbolic crossing, a point of no return. The world around him faded, replaced by this almost palpable tug at the core of his being. He was caught in that maelstrom of conflicting emotions, that deep-seated curiosity battling with logical warnings of danger. But the allure of discovery, that secret longing he'd always carried, it was just too potent to resist. Extending his hand wasn't just a reach, it was an acceptance. He was consciously choosing to leave behind the comforting certainties of his former life. It's a classic choice point, isn't it? Where the desire for profound truth outweighs the fear of devastating consequences.
And here's where it gets really unsettling. The transformation, the fraying of reality, it began before he even made contact. The sources describe a soft, almost imperceptible tremor, light fracturing, walls bending, sounds becoming ghostly echoes. What was happening to his perception of normal?
This is such a crucial detail. It wasn't an instantaneous jump cut. It was this gradual, insidious decay of the familiar. The air took on that metallic tang. The ground subtly shifted underfoot. These weren't dramatic, sudden changes, but subtle distortions that made him question everything he thought he knew about stability.
Right, undermining everything.
Exactly. Every whispered sound became both a beckon and a warning, pulling him deeper into a reality that had maybe long lurked just behind the veneer of everyday life. It teaches us that profound shifts often begin subtly, quietly eroding our foundations before the major collapse.
And then the actual crossing. The text describes a frigid wave, bone-deep cold, a labyrinth of distorted surfaces, impossible geometries, and an otherworldly silence. This wasn't just stepping into another room, was it?
No, not at all. It was a fundamental transformation enacted upon his senses. Even his own body felt like a stranger. The familiar physical world was just replaced by this chaotic landscape where depths folded upon themselves and shadows danced fleetingly. It demanded a complete recalibration of every fiber of his being. This emphasizes that true immersion in the unknown isn't just about entering a new space. It's about that space fundamentally altering your perception, your very being, to fit its rules.
So he's in this new, terrifying reality, but the sources make it clear that this journey wasn't just external. It was also an uneasy journey into the labyrinth of his inner self. What does this tell us about the nature of his experience there? Is it real or internal?
Well, this is where John's story provides such a powerful psychological insight, I think. As he ventured into this new realm, his familiar thoughts just dissolved into this haze of doubt, and suppressed memories surfaced. His internal dialogue grew louder, mirroring the external distortions he was seeing. The fundamental question became, was he truly stepping beyond the physical confines of his world? Or had he merely stepped into a vast inner theater where his deepest insecurities were playing out? It suggests that confrontation with the external unknown often becomes an inescapable confrontation with the internal unknown. The two blur.
And this internal journey is immediately evident in the enigmatic reflections he encounters. Broken mirrors, tarnished metal, strange liquids. They didn't just show his face, did they? They aggressively reconfigured each detail to reveal hidden fractures in his identity.
Yes, and what's truly profound here is that these weren't passive reflections. They felt deliberately orchestrated, like a theater for his hidden self. They morphed his expression into figures of vulnerable sorrow or maybe exaggerated determination, forcing him to acknowledge parts of his identity he'd locked away.
Like what?
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350+ undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Well, fragments of grief, pain, hope, resilience, all the messy stuff. This was a direct assault on his self-perception, but one that led to a powerful realization. True self-awareness only comes by embracing every distorted shard of your being, not just the comfortable, polished ones.
Okay, as if that weren't enough to deal with, he then encounters the grotesque menagerie, these nightmarish creatures that defied natural order. But their true horror wasn't just their appearance, was it? It was what they embodied.
Precisely. These creatures, with their misshapen and contorted forms and eyes that shone like shards of cold alien crystal, they were terrifying because they were personalized. They were described as embodying the primal fears that had silently governed his waking thoughts, acting as a literal mirror to his very being.
So like his fears made real.
Exactly. A creature with fluid movement and webbed, twisted appendages might embody his suppressed grief, perhaps. While another, with this accusatory intelligence, could personify deep-seated guilt or self-doubt. This is a critical takeaway. Sometimes our deepest fears take on monstrous forms, externalizing our internal demons and forcing us to confront them head-on.
And their hunger. It wasn't for flesh and blood either, was it? The sources say they wanted something far more intimate.
No, it's much creepier. The sources say they sought to siphon off the very essence of what made its victims human. Consuming intangible elements such as fear, despair, and the faint flickering remnants of human hope, it was a systematic, almost ritualistic consumption.
That's chilling.
It is, because it speaks to a deeper vulnerability that our emotional and spiritual core can actually be attacked, leaving this void where human warmth and vitality once existed. It's a vivid depiction of how internal fears, if left unaddressed, can consume us from the inside out.
Adding to this psychological torment, John hears a low, almost imperceptible murmur, a chorus of faint voices that softly infiltrate his senses. What were these echoes of dread communicating? Were they real voices?
Well, these whispers, they lacked clarity but left this inexplicable imprint of meaning. They felt like fragments from a story long abandoned. They weren't just external sounds. They awakened memories once locked away, forcing John to relive moments of love, betrayal, profound isolation.
Oh, wow.
They functioned as a mirror reflecting back John's innermost vulnerabilities, but also, interestingly, revealed a panorama of shared historical despair, which implies that our personal anxieties are often connected to a much larger universal human experience of suffering.
I see.
The whispers became this relentless barrage, making it realize these auditory apparitions are not just intruders from an inscrutable otherworld, they are his own suppressed emotions given form.
And the culmination of all this internal and external torment was the twisting maze formed from his deepest anxieties. The walls throbbed with an uncanny life, the corridors and dead ends symbolizing repressed memories and unresolved fears. How did John navigate this ultimate psychological labyrinth?
Well, the maze wasn't just a physical obstacle. It presented these puzzles inscribed upon the crumbling stone, riddles. And when deciphered, they dredged up a buried memory, small moments of failure, lapses in judgment, the pervasive weight of self-doubt, all the things you try to forget.
Right.
So John realized that escape wouldn't come from simply outrunning the maze's physical deceptions. It required facing and understanding the emotional barriers they represented. He had to solve the internal puzzle. He started discovering subtle patterns, a concealed logic, eventually finding a pattern of escape interwoven with his own journey of self-discovery. It's a powerful metaphor for life's challenges, isn't it? True freedom often comes from confronting our inner demons, not just avoiding them.
As his journey continues, he finds himself in a vast expanse of desolation where even the light seemed burdened with sorrow. This isn't just a bleak landscape, is it? It's called the land of despair. How is despair actually woven into the very fabric of this environment?
It's palpable. You can almost feel it from the description. The sky is a gloomy tapestry of ashen blues. The ground is littered with fragments of what once held meaning or hope, broken things. Faded inscriptions on weathered stone are described as desperate pleas from souls who had surrendered to grief.
Oh, man.
And the wind carries these murmurs of forgotten sorrow. It's a complete immersion in the concept of despair. It shows John and us that grief isn't just a private burden, but a kind of shared inheritance. This external landscape becomes a physical manifestation of collective human sorrow.
And in this land, John has a personal reckoning. He sees every scar in the battered stone and every forlorn marking on crumbling surfaces, mirroring the inner turmoil of lost souls. But then he encounters a broken glass shard that evokes a private moment of harrowing loss, specifically for him. What was the turning point here?
This is where the universal anguish becomes deeply personal for John. It connects directly to him. He realized that the despair cascading all around him was mirrored within his own heart, his own pain reflected back, and this moment of profound interconnectedness between the external desolation and his internal anguish became a turning point.
How so?
By embracing his own grief, not fighting it, but accepting it, that became the first step toward transcending it. He recognized his burden was part of a vast, shared human experience. It highlights how personal healing often begins with recognizing our shared humanity, even in suffering.
And finally, he confronts a shifting spectral entity whose very essence seemed to be woven from the fabric of repressed terror and long-forgotten regrets. This sounds like the ultimate challenge, the embodiment of his inner torment. How does John face this?
Well, the entity's form was an ever-changing tapestry of shadows, a direct manifestation of his deepest, darkest internal struggles. The confrontation was this heart-wrenching dilemma. Yes, defend his physical self, but more importantly, ward off the corrosive self-doubt that the apparition stirred within him.
So it attacked his mind, too.
Oh, absolutely. It used mocking whispers and ghostly appendages that conjured vivid flashbacks, betrayals, lost love, blurring with his deepest self-reproach. But John's resolve, born from all that raw pain and self-confrontation throughout this entire journey, was to embrace the totality of his self-scars and refuse to surrender. This moment emphasizes that true courage isn't just about fighting external monsters, but about accepting the broken, complex parts of ourselves.
So somehow he makes it back. But his return isn't a simple reversion to normal, is it? The sources describe his street transforming into a shifting panorama, walls bending, sounds warping. It sounds like his reality is still very much frayed.
That's right. The apparent stability of existence for John was completely shattered. It was just a veneer. His senses were still besieged by a maelstrom of distorted impressions, forcing him to constantly question whether what he experienced is a reflection of truth or merely an elaborate illusion.
Constantly doubting.
Constantly. It taught him a powerful lesson. Once you truly see beyond the surface, you can never really unsee it. The world is permanently altered, not necessarily externally, but within his own perception.
And this leads to a profound dilemma. He's back, but that dreadful world still has a seductive, transformative power. He has a choice.
Yeah.
Fully return to his, altered life or succumb to its pull. How did he navigate this lingering temptation?
It was a monumental choice he faced. Returning meant facing the artifact's residual mark on his psyche, knowing those he knew might see only the strange reflection of an unaltered.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be the same John.
Right.
Yet succumbing meant his old self would completely dissolve into that otherness. The portal itself, even after his return, was described as a living enigma, shimmering with these seductive flashes of a long-forgotten past, offering comforting yet unreal images of home, love, peace, like mirages.
Trying to lure him back in.
Exactly. There were siren calls meant to entrap, tempting him to trade that hard-won, painful awareness for just a fleeting moment of illusory calm. But John's act of defiance against this pull became central to his redefined identity. He chose the uncomfortable truth of his transformation over a false peace.
And as he reemerges fully into his world, it's achingly familiar and disconcertingly altered, tinged with a ghostly resonance. What lasting marks did this journey leave on his reality, and more importantly, on him?
Well, minute anomalies persisted, a lamppost casting elongated, wavering shadows, neon signs pulsing with a life of their own. Little things, but noticeable to him. The air itself held a faint, almost imperceptible tang that recalled the oppressive atmosphere of the realm he had just traversed.
Wow, so it's still there.
In a way, yes. These lingering echoes, unexpected chills, fleeting phantom silhouettes, muted whispers, they became solemn tutors in the art of introspection. They weren't just remnants. They revealed that the transformative influence of that realm is permanently woven into his identity. It's a powerful idea. True growth often means permanently carrying the echoes of what you've overcome, not erasing them.
So John's identity is fundamentally transformed. The ordeal stripped away the layers of his old identity and replaced them with something raw, unrefined, and unmistakably real. What was the ultimate wisdom he gained from all this, and at what cost?
He gained a new wisdom, definitely, an enlightening understanding, but it was tempered by grief for his lost innocence. He learned that true self-discovery often demands an uneasy reconciliation of contradictions, that wisdom rarely comes without cost. His experience taught him to hold both hope and despair in delicate measure, shaping a more complete, maybe more authentic human experience. His return wasn't a restoration, it was a reinvention. It left him wiser yet burdened. A living testament to the paradox that growth comes with both enlightening understanding and the enduring weight of irretrievable loss. It reminds us that our deepest truths are often found in the most uncomfortable places.
What a journey John went on, right? His story truly makes you reconsider the ordinary places we walk through every day and what might be hidden just beneath the surface. It's not just about a mysterious object or some terrifying other dimension. It's really about how an encounter with the unknown can force us to confront our deepest fears, our hidden vulnerabilities, and ultimately reshape who we are, leaving us forever altered.
Indeed. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, John's deep dive into an unfamiliar world really mirrors our own internal landscapes, doesn't it? His struggle to distinguish between external threats and internal turmoil, and its eventual acceptance of his fragmented self. It raises an important question for all of us. Can the borders between the realm of normalcy and that other dread-infused dimension ever be fully severed once you've crossed them? Or does every profound journey into the unknown leave an indelible mark, quietly shaping our perception of reality and ourselves forever?
And that's a thought for you to carry with you today. What hidden connections might you find in your own world? And what will you discover about yourself when you dare to look beyond the surface? Join us next time on The Deep Dive.